For all of you who listen to Submersion and own an Android device, go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android device. I personally use the app and I love it. I can search for the podcast I want to listen to, select it as a favorite, and have it just a click away. Make sure to select Submersion as a favorite so you don't miss any of our new episodes. Again, the app is the Podcast Republic app, available on Android devices.
Episode 68.
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh, we're close.
Yeah.
68. We're pretty close.
We are. To something quite magical. But before we get
we're not going to mention it right now, but we're at 68.
Yeah, we got to stay focused.
Got focus.
It's like the night before Christmas.
Right.
It's a good way to put it. Just so excited.
Yeah.
For next episode.
Right. This one's shit, but excited for the next one.
Yeah, just if you're bouncing around on episodes and, you're a few weeks ahead of us, maybe just jump ahead.
Yeah, just skip it.
Skip this one.
Wow. Yeah. Great.
It's terrible. Guys. Kyle uses a racist term later, so just skip it.
Okay. Before we warrant any alarms here, how's everybody been doing?
Pretty good.
How'd you know I had my finger right on the button?
I just felt it. I'm getting a good bead on that.
I'm very relaxed. I don't have anything to do. I pretty much have all kinds of free time. Don't have any responsibilities. It's awesome. What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I have none of that. No free time. All responsibilities.
I managed to find the elusive Mustard Man this past weekend.
Wow.
For his 30th birthday.
Whoa.
Yeah. He's old.
I know.
Wow.
The rest of us are
I'm
like
way
14, right?
I'm 74 years old.
Oh, I could have swore you said we were all 14, except for Mustard Man. Okay.
Not me. I'm 14 years removed from my 60th birthday.
Very good, but I guess we've got a diverse group of hosts here, but linked up with the Mustard Man and the Backbone Zach, did some top golf, did some bar hopping, and Mustard Man was a happy drunk, which you don't always get. Sometimes he's a little crotchety, but no, he was in a good mood. We all had a great time, so.
That's good.
Happy 30th to Mustard Man.
So that top golf, who won? Or is it even like a game? I've always wanted to go, but I've never lived close to one.
It's very bowling-like, so you guys might enjoy it. It's kind of, if you think of it in frames, there's 20 frames. You hit 20 balls if you play the main game mode, and you got to knock them into the targets out there at the various different lengths. And if you're good at hitting one of the targets rather than another, if you got like a good range on one of them, you can hit those. You don't have to hit a specific target. You just kind of whack it out there and hope it kind of lands near or in one of the center points of the targets. But we played 2 games, and the birthday boy won the first one, and then I dialed it up. I kind of got into my groove. I think I play the most golf of anyone, so the second one I kind of smoked everybody and put the hurt on.
Dude, you gotta give him that little ray of hope.
Yeah, exactly.
And then game 2,
you embarrass
him on the ground, step on his throat, and just start pushing.
Yeah, you got to remind him who's boss.
Yeah, even on his birthday weekend.
Especially on his birthday weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, go easy on him.
No, you cannot.
No, you can't.
That'd be disrespectful. Dive!
What began as an innocent conversation among friends would soon spiral out of control and later be referred to by future generations as the 8th wonder of the modern world. Mac East Second Floor Studios takes you on the journey of your lifetime as your captains, Alex the Mustard Man, the artist formerly known as Brom, Jamie the Brain, Kyle El Capitan, and Zach the Backbone present Submersion. All right, so we begin the third week. I know I've been super bad about announcing what month we're in, but we're in the third week of WTF Movie Month.
Right.
And play the sound
be sure to stick around. What?
Play the WTF sound clip.
Oh, yeah.
Insert right here.
And done. Be sure to stick around. We do have a letter from a listener.
Whoa.
We haven't had one in a while, so we are super excited to talk about that at the end of the show. Or if you're the listener who wrote in and you want to know, just go ahead and skip all the way to the back. It'll be there. So
it's going to be like an hour, skip like an hour 15 minutes ahead or an hour 45 ahead. You might get to it.
This episode's just riddled with self-defeatism right now.
It is. It really is. All right, Brom, what did we watch?
Well, we watched a 2009 masterpiece of
this is 2009?
CGI. Yeah, 2009.
Jesus Christ. Okay, wow.
It's akin to some of the other shitty movies we've watched recently.
Yeah, but
Spoiler alert.
Usually they're from like the 90s.
Yeah, that's true. We watched Silent Venom.
Starring
Luke Perry as
and
Commander James O'Neill.
And who else is in it?
Krista Allen as Dr. Andrea Swanson.
I didn't even know I didn't know who that actress was. I thought you were going to say
Tom Berenger
yeah.
as Admiral Bradley Wallace.
Right.
Wow.
Second biggest star. He's barely in it, but he's like the what's his name of this one? Lando Calrissian.
I'm kind of looking, here on IMDb. Everybody does have a photo.
Oh,
which
that's
is
a
good.
Sign. Yeah, it's a good sign.
Yeah, sometimes you're on here and they're like, oh, God, there's like 2 people with a photo. But this one's got, everybody's got a headshot, so that's good.
It is always a plus.
Good for them.
So this movie was directed by Fred Olen Ray.
And we know him.
I'm sure. Yeah, you probably know him from the movie The Twin, right?
Is that right? I just know him as being like a small-time director. Didn't we watch another film that he directed or no?
I doubt it. He did a television series called The Lair, and if I'm not mistaken, it is a bunch of vampires like running a gay bar or something like that. Didn't even know that was a TV show. He also made a lot of looks like smut films, and
good.
Then he also did Air Rage with Ice-T, which I'm sure is incredible.
He did.
With a name like Air Rage, it's going to be good. This was written by Mark Sanderson, who I was super excited for. I thought he also wrote Stinger, but he wrote a movie called Stingers.
Submerged. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. So Fred Olen Ray directed Submerged, but the plane one.
Oh,
The one with the
okay.
plane. Oh, and
Gotcha.
he directed Countermeasures.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Michael Dudikoff film. Fred Olen Ray.
All right. So,
Easy
no
Phantom
stranger to the
Zone.
subworld.
I knew it. I recognized the name. So
Yeah. Sanderson also, along with Stingers, wrote My Daughter Vanished and Suburban Swingers Club.
Oh, that sounds both sexy and intriguing.
Scandalous.
Yeah.
So as Brom had mentioned, Luke Perry, rest in peace, is
Rest
our
in
captain
peace for sure,
from
yeah.
Beverly Hills 90210, The Fifth Element, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, and most recently the show Riverdale. Krista Allen, you may know from Significant Mother, Baywatch, Anger Management, and there's actually a new movie she's in where she won an award, I want to say for Best Actress in a Leading Role. Not an Academy Award.
She won an Oscar.
It's called 1111.
Oh.
Tom Berenger from Platoon, nominated for an Oscar. Inception, Major League, Training Day, and now this.
Yeah.
What's going on? And then Louis Mandalore is Jake Golden from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. The Quest with Van Damme.
I love that movie. The Quest is so ridiculous and stupid. You guys, have you seen The Quest?
I have not.
Oh, it opens, and it was directed by Jean-Claude Van Damme, and it opens with him being like, he's like an old man makeup, and it's the worst makeup ever. And then he starts off as being a street clown. He's like a mime in the beginning.
What?
And then he goes and fights in a tournament on a deserted island.
All right, this sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's probably on I think it's on Tubi TV probably, but it's great. I love The Quest.
Let's check that out.
Yeah.
And then what he is most known for is a movie called In the Eyes of a Killer. So that's
That's, I mean, pretty much
same year, 2009. This was his big year.
Ooh, Jake.
Silent
This is
Venom.
Jake, you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lewis
Jake
Mandel.
was my favorite character too, and I'll explain why later.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I think I have a completely polar opposite opinion, but we'll...
He very much reminded me of myself. So we'll leave it at that.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. We've already been talking for a while,
Are
so
you-
let's start the timer
Okay.
now.
There we go. All right. So you want me to just jump right in?
Dude,
You want me to
we're
get in? You want me to get into it?
Get on the island.
Okay.
Get on the island.
All right. So we're on the island. We open a jungle. Our boy Jake, my favorite character, he is sweating like crazy. He's like super nervous because they're on an island full of snakes, and he's like, "Fuck, I hate snakes." And there are a couple people that are trying to trap a snake, and he like radios in. He's like, "We got the snake, but I kind of suck as a person." And the person's like, "Okay, great." Or Andrea, I should say, the scientist is on the other line, and she's like, "Okay, good. Just like take care of business."
Yeah, somebody put your hand in there.
Yeah. And then they try to get the snake, and almost immediately they botch it. One guy gets bit, and Jake just like runs into the jungle. Like immediately he's like, "Oh shit." He runs away.
It was so funny because it was a really rare snake too.
Yeah.
And doesn't even try to recover it. He's
No.
like, we finally got it. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yeah. He's like, he jets immediately. And this is where I feel like I really identified with him because I 100% am Jake in that scenario. I'm like sweating. I'm like, I don't want to be anywhere near these snakes. And I'm just jetting into that jungle immediately. So anyways, at the same time, Andrea's talking with some Navy muckety muck. And he's like, "Oh, hey, we're like trying to get like some biological weapons." And she's like, "Well, we totally bred like pit vipers with this like radioactive snake that's already on the island or some shit." And they're like, "Oh, how'd it go?" And it's like, "Oh, it's super scary." It's like, it really didn't go well, actually. So we're going to have to kill them or something. Like they have some of these snakes they bred and they're like growing like crazy and they just
Oh,
want
my
to destroy
word.
them. Like they're not.
They're ridiculous.
Yeah.
They've got them like contained in this like giant metal box.
And
And
they
the snakes
roar
are so
like
aggressive. The
cats.
snakes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
anyways.
they're just like knocking the box around and they're like, it make noise literally in the movie later, like gremlins, I thought. I was like,
Yeah.
what kind of snakes would these be?
So anyways, we see we kind of cut back to the person who got not bit or one of the other helpers. He runs into like a river and the mama snake, the one that birthed those mutant snakes, is there and it's gigantic. It's like 1,000,000 feet long. This is a totally unresolved storyline. The snake just exists on this island forever, but it eats this person. Then we cut and it says 24 hours later, and that's important to
Terrible
note.
CGI, by the way,
Yeah, terrible
for our
CGI.
listeners.
Yeah.
So it says 24 hours later for no reason. All it does is create all kinds of questions in my mind about what was going on for 24 fucking hours between this scenario. But Luke Perry and Tom Berenger, Luke Perry goes into Tom Berenger's office. He's a former captain of a submarine. Tom Berenger's an admiral. And they're kind of discussing his dismissal from the Navy. He's up for a dishonorable discharge. He disobeyed a direct order on a submarine because he did not want to push the submarine way past its specs. He was kind of like, they just wanted to show off and they were endangering my crew and he refused. And so they're going to kick him out of the Navy. And Berenger's like, okay, I'm going to make it an honorable discharge. You can retire with full benefits, but you have to do this one last thing. You have to babysit this submarine and take it from Japan to Taiwan. And that's it.
And basically, he's going to have all kinds of people who are fresh out of submarine school.
And then his one friend.
A
who's
new XO.
Cobb,
yeah, and he says, I need my boy, the Cobb.
and
Like,
already
whatever.
got him.
We already
Don't
got
worry,
him.
yeah. And so, anyways, he kind of agrees, even though it's kind of a babysitting trip. He's like real disillusioned at this point. He's like, whatever, fine. Then somehow it's taken Jake 24 hours, apparently, to get back to the research tent. Because now,
Dude, we don't know how far away he was.
apparently, a
Thick
real long
jungle,
time.
man.
Maybe that's why he's sweating so much, because he just ran for 24 hours straight. So he runs into the tent, and he's like, "Oh shit! It went totally awry." And she's like, "Did you give the anti-venom to the guy?" And he's like, "He ran into the jungle." I don't know. I couldn't do it. And they're like, "Okay, well, get the anti-venom over there." And he goes over and immediately drops and destroys like all of the anti-venom. So the only
Except for two.
the only anti-venom that they have left is the two that he had on this person at that moment. And so they only got two left. And they're like, shit, like this probably won't come into play anytime soon, but fine, whatever. Not a big deal. And so
Then we cut on over back to the sub.
right, but I
and
did have a
that-
question at this point. Do you think they named his character Jake because he was a snake himself? Jake the Snake.
Oh, Jake the Snake. No.
Could have been.
That's something because he's kind of a snake, right?
Yeah, that's true.
He's kind of sucks.
I don't think they're
Snake
smart
in the
enough.
grass.
So anyways, from this point, we transition into what is basically a very kind of simple submarine film. Because a whole bunch of this is just like submarine action. It's like, oh, wait, I thought there was supposed to be snakes involved. But so anyways, they take off on their mission. Luke Perry's there. He's saying like, hey, what's up to all the people on the submarine. It's a skeleton crew, not literally skeletons. They're actual people, but it's a very sparse crew. And the
because
Exo's
it
there.
is a museum ship, and
Right.
so they're not rigged for wartime.
Right.
They even make a point to say, "Hey, we've got torpedoes, but these are complete duds.
They aren't even
because
real,
they
yeah.
don't think this could handle shooting a torpedo."
Yeah. And we cut back over to Behringer, who's learning that this mission may not be as easy as he thought. And why is that?
Because China will be conducting military exercises in the area where he's sending the submarine.
He's like, oh shit. And then that guy who was discussing the snakes with Andrea comes in as like, this is a very important confidential kind of mission. We need to save those scientists. So we need to figure out what to do. And Behringer kind of hesitantly is like, well, we do have a submarine in the area and we could send that submarine. And they're like, okay,
and
let's
then
do
a
it.
guy that looks exactly like Dick Cheney is
Yes,
like,
yeah.
I'll tell the president.
I wondered if there was supposed to be a playoff of Dick Cheney at that point.
He looked just like him.
It was very similar. In fact, I can't even tell. Was that actually Dick Cheney? It could have been.
That'd be funny. He's like, no, I just do these small-time roles in movies. Like, what?
Yeah, this would have been right after he was no longer vice president. So
Yeah. He's
He could
probably
have been, man.
paying off whatever lawsuit he got from shooting that person in the face, right?
probably.
Could have been.
Probably. So anyways,
Like, if I make my money on Silent Venom, man, that's what you got to do.
we got to do this. So they send Perry on the mission. They send him off. He kind of alerts the submarine, hey, we got to go do this thing. We got to go to this island to pick up these scientists. So anyways, scientists are all packing up. Andrea tells Jake the snake, hey, Jake the snake, we got to destroy, or we got to release all these snakes, destroy the two kind of mutant ones that we have, and then only bring 4. 2 males, 2 females. And that's it. And Jake, being a snake, goes, hey, what if we bring a whole bunch back, and since no one knows we have them, we could sell them on the black market? And she's like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? No, obviously no. No, we're not taking a bunch of super venomous pit vipers onto a submarine to sell in where? Taiwan, I guess? I don't know. It's like, that's a crazy idea, Jake. Don't do it. Just follow your mission. And of course we see Jake disobey and immediately pack up all of the snakes and kind of like secretly pack up the mutant snakes as well.
Yeah, so she should obviously have seen the red flag here.
Yeah,
Then she immediately
he's got a
walks
lot
off
of
like,
red
all
flags.
right, you pack up.
Right.
She's like, I got to go do something. And you're like, you really want to leave that guy just hanging out doing that?
Probably not. Because
Not the best move.
they don't call him Jake the Snake for nothing. That's what I'm saying.
No, they do not.
Right. So anyways, the crew goes ashore. They see a whole bunch of snakes. They don't think anything of that. That's fine. And they go up and they're like, hey, what's up, hot Steph? To the lady. Because they don't even, there's a whole bunch of scenes where they don't think she's the scientist. They keep on thinking Jake's the scientist. But that's because they're sexist. And I don't believe that. And I would obviously know she was a scientist. So
Right now, there could have been a cool scene where they get attacked by the giant snake or something and they narrowly escape. But there's none of that. They just go to the island, pick them up. It's totally fine. They get on the sub.
Right.
They're loading all the gear. And now we've got some of these brand new submariners, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, coming out of school. And they say, hey, what is in these containers? And Jake's like,
this is the weird thing, too, because I literally am sitting there being like, oh, Jake, the smarmy asshole, he's going to be the one who kind of ruins everything. But it's really kind of the submariners. Like, he's right. He's kind of right later. Obviously, he shouldn't have brought on the mutant snakes and stuff like that.
But he did nothing wrong.
But they fucking opened that canister.
Yeah,
it would have been probably fine if they didn't do that, other than the mutant snakes. That was Jake's bad, obviously.
Yeah, they broke out on their own.
Right.
To be discussed later.
Right.
Yeah, so the guy pretty much immediately opens up the container that Jake was like, please don't open that. And a snake lunges out, gets the dude right in the neck.
Right. Straight
and
up.
then now at this time,
the wound disappears.
Right.
Yeah,
this is the weird
exactly.
thing. It's
Worst
like so
medic
stupid.
on planet
The dumbest
Earth.
doctor. I can't even believe it. I would like. That's actually the better storyline of this is how like he's faking being a doctor. Like he's like wringing his hands like, they're going to find me out. I never got a medical degree. And they come in and he's like, oh shit. I have no idea what's going on. Like, did you not check the body at all? Like, you didn't see like the giant snake wound he has on his neck?
Right.
Like
in the neck. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with them.
I have no idea. I don't have the advanced equipment to know. It's like,
and then later, you don't have eyes?
Later, the other guy has a giant wound on his hand, and they're like, what is that, a spider bite? It's like, what the fuck are you talking? What spiders are you talking about here? It's gigantic. It's huge. It's like his entire hand.
Right.
It's insane.
So anyways, now the Chinese military exercise is completely underway.
You did skip over a little bit Luke Perry meeting Andrea and their sexual tension.
This is like going on right here.
Yeah. And he's like, me likey, although that's abandoned pretty quickly. It's weird. There's all kinds of stuff kind of in the middle of this movie where they like almost kiss and they're clearly like into each other. And it seems like that's just like dropped later in the movie, but whatever.
Oh yeah, they say there's no way we're doing that. Yeah. And there's even a scene where, because all the submariners are kind of nervous because there's a lady on the sub, and oh my gosh, we don't have a lady. And then she's like, "Hey, you think I can shower?" And Cobb's like, "Yeah, I think you can. Let me show you the way." And then later, he almost walks into the shower while she's in there.
The captain was
and
the
also, by the way, during all this, there's snakes all over the sub.
Right.
And
that was really weird.
They were crawling on the floor right near her feet in the shower, and she doesn't notice.
It was shot so weirdly, too, because at times you didn't know where the snakes were, and then sometimes you did, and sometimes they were just like next to people, and they didn't notice at all.
It's silent Venom, guys. Silent.
At one point, it was like hanging from the ceiling, and I could have sworn Jake saw the snake. Like he looked over at someone and the snake's behind the person, and then he just has to pretend like he doesn't see anything.
I was like, The guy got a rat tail or something? What is it?
What's that? That's a pretty cool rat tail. And the guy's like, what are you talking about, rat tail?
So anyways.
So yeah, they start to do some war games and stuff like that, right?
Well, they're doing war games, but yeah, the Cobb sees her, and then here we have a little quote from him as soon as he shuts the door.
Women on a submarine. That just isn't natural.
Geez, Cobb, women on a sub aren't natural?
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's true. It's been brought up a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
So anyways, so during the war games, stuff like that, they start to do some evasive action. Here, you get a little tension between the XO and the captain, Luke Perry. And because he's not so sure that Luke Perry wants to go into the Chinese waters. He's like, we got to do it to like avoid a conflict or whatever. But they start heading in there and creating a little bit more danger that way.
And also at this time, Jake goes back to his containers. He's like, I better check on these. And then he's like, someone opened this. That's not great.
He got
and
nervous.
Then he immediately lets Andrea know.
Yeah, he got nervous because Jake and Andrea got told, like, hey, were you guys sick or anyone sick? Like, we have someone who's really sick. So Jake got a little nervous and went back and figured out that the snakes had been released. And this is where it was funny with Andrea, because he was basically like, this is not my fault. And I want you to be, he basically wasn't telling anyone because he's like, I just want to be sure that we're not getting in trouble for this. And he's like, well, she's basically like, it's only 4 snakes, so it's fine. And he's like, it's more like 22 snakes or whatever. And she's like, oh shit. Like that's a lot of snakes.
Which that seems like a gross under exaggeration of what we see.
Yeah, we see a lot of snakes.
On board the sub.
Way more than 22 snakes, unless they're all clustered together at all times.
They're just moving in this giant snake ball.
Yeah, like a rat king kind of. They're all twisted up into one big snake kind of.
Yeah. And so during the drill now, the Chinese surface ships start dropping depth charges.
Yeah, which seems a little old, but fine, whatever. We'll let it pass.
And it does rock the sub and
knocks out the engine for a little bit.
Yeah, it does. And at this time, Andrea also decides she needs to tell Luke Perry what is going on. And we get a pretty funny exchange. I laughed out loud when I heard this.
Ma'am, you're not allowed in
I need
here.
to speak with the captain.
What is it, Doctor?
We've got snakes on board and they're loose.
Snakes? You brought snakes onto this submarine?
They were part of our classified research.
I don't care what I hate snakes. You brought them on here without telling me.
I had my orders.
I don't care about your orders. I got a dead sailor. I got another one barely hanging on, and upstairs I got the Chinese Navy trying to sink this ship.
That was great. Wow.
You brought snakes. I hate snakes.
I hate snakes. The more important thing is I hate snakes.
Yeah. He's like, I got 2 dead guys, whatever. I mean, basically, that right there, that dialogue sums up the entire movie.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. You know exactly what's going on right there.
So anyways, Andrea, who's gotten the 2 vials of anti-venom, she gives them over to the doctor because they got to like make sure that if anyone else gets any more people get bitten, they can be taken care of. And they try to decide what to do. So they all kind of cluster together. And there's something about like them liking warmth that becomes like a big storyline. It's like they like warmth. They like to be warm.
Yeah.
And then they want to turn off. And in the end, they start to have
they need to go into.
They need to go into silent mode because there's a submarine around. They detect a Chinese submarine. They can't communicate because their communication system was knocked out. So they're going to be considered hostile. So they have to go silent. And for whatever reason.
And the XO is also like, that's a Chinese Han class.
Yeah.
A Chinese Han class attack submarine, I'm really certain. I'm sure their passive sonars picked up something, but they're probably not sure, so they're hunting.
Han class? We don't stand a chance, Captain.
Oh, I don't know, Mr. Davies. Submarine's only as good as its captain.
Yep.
So he says that and then immediately needs help from the XO. The XO gives him a suggestion. He's like, oh, okay. I was like, well, they're not going to do too great.
And so, yeah, they turn off the blowers. But Andrea, for whatever reason, doesn't like that as an idea. She's kind of like, why would you, if you turn off the blowers, it's going to get real cold. And then they become slow and become harder to find. And it's like,
and I was like,
isn't this better? Don't you want the snakes to be really slow? Like
No, I want them hot and riled
up.
We want them ready to attack people.
We want them real fast and angry because of how hot it is. It's like, wait, what?
And then throw butter on this floor too. We want them really greasy and slippery.
And Ed Harris comes around the corner and is like, did you say greasy?
Yeah. He's like, I can do that.
Yeah. Anyways, so at the same time that this is all happening, Jake is like, fuck this noise about anti-venom with this Dumbo doctor who's not really a doctor, let me tell you. I'm going to go in and steal it. So he goes in and he steals the anti-venom. And the doctor comes in and like a complete idiot is like, what are you doing? And Jake is like, I got a headache. And then the doctor's like, well, let me get you some aspirin. And gives it to him. And only later does he realize, oh, he stole the anti-venom. When one of the other submariners, he goes in and finds out that the mutant snakes are now gone out, and he gets bitten, and he has a giant snake bite on his fucking like chest, like completely. Yeah. And they bring him in, and like, we need the anti-venom, and they realize that Jake is clearly the snake and has stolen this anti-venom.
Oh yeah, and they make sure to confront him, and they threaten him with something we threatened Brom with a lot.
Oh yeah.
Hey Jake, where are you going?
Torpedo room, I'm checking for snakes.
Yeah, well, you're headed the wrong way.
Oh, thanks, I must have got turned around.
If you have it, you need to give it to us now.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The anti-venom. A man's life is at stake.
I don't have the anti-venom.
You were just in the sick bay, and now it's missing, so where is it?
I'm going to find out, Captain.
By all means, Mr. Davies.
Hey!
Strip search.
Listeners, he's getting patted down right now.
I told you I didn't have it. If I find out otherwise, I'm going to stuff you in a torpedo tube.
Ayo. There we go.
Oh!
They're going to Brom him. I'm going to put him right in that torpedo tube.
World War Jake the Snake.
It's been a while. It's been a while since we threatened that, Brom, because you've become such a big part of our family.
I know. I feel integral to the day-to-day operations of this sub.
Yeah, if we torpedoed you, what are we going to do? We'd be a literal skeleton crew.
Yeah. You'd be lost.
We'd be a couple of skeletons playing xylophone with our ribs. Yeah. Okay, so what happens now? So he kind of Jake retreats to the torpedo room, and we see him kind of. That's where he's hidden it. He's got the antivenom back there, so he kind of takes it out.
Oh yeah,
and he's sitting there. And at this point, they turn back on the heat.
No, not yet. They're still silent running, and Jake causes a big commotion.
Oh, that's right, because
what's he using? He sees a snake, and he picks up the closest thing to him, and it just so happens to be a wrench.
Straight up.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And he is beating the shit out of this snake with it.
No, he's not. He's mostly beating the shit out of some pipes.
That's true, yeah.
Making a lot of noise.
Bang, 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 bang. And they're like, what is that? Somebody stop that, please.
Yeah. And so then it alerts the Han.
That gives their position away.
The attack submarine is all over that. Decides to send a little warning shot. So Luke Perry's up. Like he knows what's up, and he's basically like, if they wanted to hit us, they'd hit us because we're making all this noise, and obviously we're like an obvious target. And they shot a torpedo, and it's not going to hit us. So they did it on purpose. They just wanted us to know that they could destroy us. And then he kind of turns around. So it explodes. It kind of rocks them around a little bit, but doesn't do too much to them, like actual damage. And then he kind of turns around and does a fake maneuver to convince them that they're going to shoot at the submarine, the Han submarine. And so they kind of retreat. The Chinese submarine goes away. And it's supposed to be him being a good captain. It's kind of showing off that he is posturing. They don't really have any live weapons, but he's able to get the submarine to go away. And Jake, meanwhile, he's been thrown to the ground. He gets like bit. He's trying to get some anti-venom. At the same time, that giant mutant snake comes along, and he's looking
to wreck his day, man.
Yeah, he's looking pretty tasty to that snake. We'll just say that.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. And so now, some of the snakes have been kind of sealed off. At least that's what they want us to believe. In the torpedo room?
Yeah, so they turn on
because they run and they spot him. And they're like, oh my God, that guy's getting eaten by a giant snake.
They turn back on the heat in the torpedo room at some point, and it's going to bring all the snakes over that way. And so all the snakes are kind of like coiled up in this torpedo room. What's weird is that they claim there are 22 snakes. I counted about like 5 plus like a whole bunch of rubber snakes. I'm not sure where the other snakes got their rubber snakes, but they're all there because they're not moving and they look real fake. And it became, at this point, it descended into a little bit embarrassing. Like I felt like a little embarrassed for the actors because they see Jake, the snake, dead on the ground with this anti-venom. And they're like, we have to get that anti-venom. And Andrea's like, I'll do it. I understand these snakes. And it's basically you're watching and you just watch an actress with this weird music go on, crawl around on the ground with a bunch of rubber snakes and pick up some anti-venom. And you're like, this is really sad, actually. I feel bad for her right now that she had to do this on camera because it does not look real. Yeah. It does not look good. It looks bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now at some point also the handguns have been brought out.
Yeah.
And it should be noted that whenever these guns are fired, they are the quietest guns on planet Earth.
Yeah, you'd be if you were firing these guns so many times on a submarine, you'd be blowing out your eardrums like left and right. You're in a contained space.
Are just like pew, pew, pew.
And they're shooting snakes, like these tiny snakes, right in the head, like multiple times.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
Back at the con, all of a sudden, snakes are everywhere.
For whatever reason.
I don't know how they got in.
I don't know. Yeah,
they're
no one
hanging
knows.
From the ceiling.
They're on like the steering wheel. They're everywhere. Yeah.
And then Captain's even beating one to death with the phone.
Yeah, we got to turn, and the big thing is like there's a snake on the steering wheel, and so no one wants to turn it, and so Luke Perry has to shoot it.
Captain's like, somebody needs to turn this. Yeah. We're like, no.
It's real spooky, scary. I was real scared at this point because of how many snakes there were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I couldn't even tell what happened. It almost seemed inexplicable to me. The captain goes around a corner, and Andrea's there, and she's covered in snakes. Was there a reason for that?
Literally just sitting there. She's just
sitting on the ground with snakes all over her. Was there an explanation? Yeah. Did she?
No.
Did she grab all the snakes?
She got into a sticky situation, and the snake started slithering all over her. And yeah, I don't know how she got there.
Yeah, I don't know. She just was sitting in a corner covered in snakes at one point. And Luke Perry, they look like they're about to kiss. And I was like, oh, finally, this love story is coming to fruition. They almost kiss. He takes the snakes off of her. She gets bitten because she needs anti-venom later. I didn't really notice that so much either. I guess she got bitten at some point. And anyways, they go back in, and there's the mutant snake is there now. So they basically they've subdued most of the snakes.
Command room.
Yeah, in the con there is the giant mutant snake. Luke Perry basically is pantomiming with this terribly rendered CGI snake. Trying to escape.
I laughed so hard at this scene because he is on one side of the periscope and the snake's on the other, and they're going back and forth. And eventually Luke Perry's like, I'm just going to turn and go the other way. Jesus. He immediately turns, runs face first into the ladder.
I didn't understand
in the room.
It felt like it was a mistake.
Knocks himself out.
felt like it was a mistake they had to keep in. Like he did this by accident, and then they were like, "Well, we'll just like keep it in the movie." So, anyways, he's like holding the snake off barely, and then he electrocutes the snake, and that's how he kills it. Very like Jaws like, I guess. Jaws 2, not Jaws 1. It was like they exploded, but Jaws 2 they electrocute Jaws. So
very similar
to Jaws 2. And then, so he's real contemplative after this. He's killed the snake. He saved the whole, like, crew, everything's set. Yeah, we're good. And he's real contemplative. So one of the last scenes we get before they kind of do the epilogue version or portion of the film is him, like, sitting in the torpedo room kind of thinking about life and love, probably.
He's like, was this last trip worth it?
And we also see him pack up, like he goes to his room to pack up, and he packs up a picture of a lady, which I didn't understand. Like, at no point have they really mentioned his wife or kids or anything. He just has a picture there. He packs that up. Behind the picture is a snake. He pulls out his gun, shoots the snake, and everyone's kind of actually nervous because, you know, it's weird. The undertone is the potential that he killed himself. I think that's actually what the question was. Is like, did he kill himself? But so they go into the room and they just see that he had shot the snake, and they're like, "Oh, okay, good."
Well, they did it in a funny way. So the XO's walking down the hall, looking for him, and then we just see an open doorway, and the snake just flies out and hits the wall.
Yeah. And so then we're on shore in Taiwan. Maybe we're back in Japan. It's hard to tell. And Andrea's there, and she's kind of like getting better or trying to get better. She's going to be like going through physical rehabilitation or whatever. The XO's there, the Cobb's there. He's looking real relaxed. He's like in jeans and like a Hawaiian shirt. I couldn't tell whether it was supposed to be Luke Perry and Andrea or the Cobb and Andrea who was supposed to have the sexual attention anymore. Seemingly no one, because no one smooches at all. They just say like goodbye to a completely professional relationship, which is, I guess, good. I commend them for having this be the case, where literally they are like, it's good working for you. Good working with you. It's good. Off they go.
And they're like, what are you going to do now? Well, I'm going to go to Pearl Harbor, and I'm going to
see my daughter.
Sit on the beach for a week and visit my daughter. And they're like,
and the Cobb's like,
see ya.
I'm going to be a Cobb on the new boat. And the XO's like, I'm going to be a captain on the new boat. And then Tom Berenger's like, are you sure you don't want to still be in the Navy, Luke Perry? And Luke Perry's like, no, I'm good, man. And then they hug. And then Luke Perry goes, how about one for the road? And he pulls out his dick one more time. And he goes, oh, it feels good. Then he pulls it back in and goes, okay, well.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he's sitting out there waiting to get on his plane, and they say, all right, man, you can go. And then right after him, all of a sudden, you see guys like, oh, we got one more package. Let's put this on. And it's the container that held the snakes.
Sequel alert.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then we end.
Snakes on a plane.
Did you notice the end was a scene with a guy with a yellow thing, like sending a helicopter off? It's like at the very, very end.
Yes.
It's a scene we've seen in, I think, maybe 4 other films. They reuse it in all of these films. That same actual scene.
How many of these other scenes have we seen in films? Like Crimson Tide all of the footage.
I'm sure.
Hunt for Red October. It's all used in this.
I think the probably the underwater submarine stuff has been used in every low budget film we've done. Like, I think it's probably the same one over and over again. Yeah. But anyways, I thought it was amusing because we could take that scene and we could now take them and actually show identical like images from like 4 different films from that scene.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
One thing I do appreciate when they reuse like these scenes from other movies, you notice that they like really zoom in because they're like, oh, we don't want the whole thing on screen.
Right, yeah.
So people know. Like, just zoom in so we can only see half of the mast. You're like, why? What are you doing
That
here?
was very strange. I did feel like they were going super close up on those underwater submarines and stuff like that to make it so that it was very hard to follow. Same thing with the snakes. I felt like that was because they just didn't have the actual like a set to film on. So it was almost like they were filming like on the floor somewhere in the corner. So they were just like, there's some snakes. And you're like, I don't even know where are those snakes supposed to be on the submarine? You have no idea of space in the submarine at all as a result.
They were getting everywhere.
I guess, yeah. It's like almost like they just had a guy like throw some snakes in the ground. They filmed it once and then they used it the rest of the time. They're like, yeah, snakes are around. It is funny just how much of the film also was like regular submarine action, like depth charges and torpedoes and stuff. When the entire conceit's supposed to be that snakes are on the submarine, but most like a whole bunch of the danger has nothing to do with snakes at all.
Right? Yeah. You're like, well,
They were very invested.
We're getting depth charged by the Chinese Navy.
They were very invested in this Chinese Navy thing.
Also snakes.
Yeah. And it was funny, too.
You got to wonder why.
Because, like, Andrea, remember when they turned off the blowers? At one point, they visited Andrea, and she was, like, all curled up in a blanket and, like, shivering.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because basically they hadn't dealt with her for, like, a really long time with the movie. They'd been saying, oh, yeah, we know there's snakes around, and you're the snake expert, but, like, we got other stuff to deal with. The snakes are not important right now. And she just sat in the corner, like, shivering because it was cold. That was it. Very strange.
One thing that was also really strange, once you knew the snakes were on board, wouldn't you close a bunch of doors, try to keep them out of areas?
You don't understand these snakes, Kyle.
I guess not.
They can
evaporate.
They're getting
the
everywhere.
walls.
They're going through the vents. They're going through. Think of the Rift, right? And think of that really dangerous plant that was growing all up, right? They were like, "Hey, let's contain this plant." But guess what? It was in the water supply. It was going through vents. It was everywhere.
It's true. So why even bother? Why even waste the energy shutting the door?
Why not just lay down and
embrace
die?
it?
Yeah, embrace death.
Just
embrace the snakes.
It.
And in fact, that's what Andrea and Luke Perry did. Eventually, they were just like holding these snakes and kind of like sitting in the corner with the snakes draped all over them.
Mm-hmm. We are now the snake people.
Right.
Yes. All right. Let's get into some ratings.
I would like someone else to go first.
I can go first.
Go ahead.
So I have a really big soft spot for Snakes on a Plane. I love that movie. I think it is, when I went and saw that, I had very low expectations and I was absolutely blown away. I was like, this is a surprisingly fun,
I thought you were going to say you were really
movie.
drunk. I was very drunk.
No, that would have been great. So this is essentially, I don't even know. I mean, it's just like the same idea. Minus, in a plane, Samuel L. Jackson wasn't getting depth charged, anything like that. But Snakes on a Plane had the money. This movie did not, obviously, because this idea has essentially already been done, but in a plane. And we did just watch 2010 Moby Dick. So a year later, the CGI in that movie was notably worse. Granted, this was not good.
Right.
I think there's just more CGI needed.
That's probably it. There's
so
more in your face.
Yeah, the Asylum.
Like, holy crap.
The Asylum operates basically on someone running around a green screen and having all kinds of garbage happen on screen. This actually, it's so weird this was made in 2009. Very, very strange.
Yes, I would agree. Because, let's see, Snakes on a Plane was before this and looked so much better. That was from 2006. So,
probably had,
what do you want with
25 times the budget, though?
True, but it didn't have Luke Perry, did it?
No, it did not.
It should have, though.
Yeah. The acting I thought was fine. I mean, it wasn't anything. Like, we have seen some absolute trash. All right, we have seen some really bad stuff.
I will give you that. Luke Perry was fine. I think Luke Perry was fine.
Yeah.
But Andrea was not good. And
no, not the best. And
I wish she's an
the
adult
whole
film
time.
actress. I don't know what you expect out of her.
Jake the Snake was hilarious he was almost like, he was all over the place. It was like he had just snorted like a pile full of cocaine and was like, I'm ready to act. Let's do this.
Dude, whenever I kept looking at him, I just kept thinking Alec Baldwin for some reason.
Sweating profusely the entire time.
Yeah. So, that's being said, storyline was fine, whatever. I enjoy snake-trapped movies. I don't know why, but I do. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 3.5.
Whoa.
I am surprised it's so high.
I'm stunned by that.
Do you have the scores handy of what we've given other ones?
Not right now.
I was just thinking of.
I know the ones that I need to give my review.
What about? Do you remember what I gave Steel Sharks? 3.5.
Steel Sharks
maybe?
was like a 3 or 3.5.
Yeah, I feel like I want to come in. So I'll go next. I want to come in a little under Steel Sharks. So this is another one of those cases. Like, I do have a soft spot for these 90s type films. And it's so funny this is 2009 because this really fits right into being like a 1998 film. So it's like a decade late, but they're still doing so much practical effects. As I said, rubber snakes. Like, if this was truly like an Asylum 2009 project, all of those snakes are CGI, even the ones on the ground and shit. And they look terrible. And you're like, I hate this because it's so dumb and bad. And you're just like out for the money. This is still practical effects. You're still seeing the practical effects of these submarines. Granted, they were probably made in the 90s, but still, like, practical effects of that. They're filming on the USS Pompano, so it's not some like stupid warehouse that they've fashioned to be a submarine. They actually did film on a submarine. So
really,
you can tell because it was the same set as Down Periscope.
Oh, okay. You did just interject. You did give Steel Sharks a 3.5.
Yeah. So I was going to come in a little under. That's why I was going to do a 3. I just wanted to make sure that 3.5, because I did enjoy this, and I understand. I'm guessing Brom is also still probably going to be a little shocked even by that score in the end, because this is not a good film. I just found it. I found it a fun film. I found Jake to be fun. I found it kind of descended at the end to be really almost embarrassingly stupid, with the fake snakes and people are just like crawling around, and it became nonsense. And then there's legitimately like a whole bunch of submarine action for no reason. Like it's even crazy that they decided to do this.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just like, no, we're going to interject Chinese war games to this. It's like, but it's already a snakes on a submarine film. Like, what? It'd be almost like if they did snakes on a plane, and in the middle they're like, the Russia MiGs are after us. It's like, wait, what?
Holy shit!
Evasive action. You'd be like, but there's already snakes. Why do you have to do evasive action on anything?
Yeah.
So,
especially with a jet that size that they were on, that'd be great.
It would have been. It almost would have been even better if, like, halfway through this film, the snakes just went away and they were just doing submarine like evasive action and stuff. So I don't know. I found it infinitely amusing. I think the director, as we've seen with Countermeasures and stuff like that, I can't remember. Was Countermeasures the one where they bombed the Empire State Building and like it fell on that taxi? Or was that the other one?
It was.
See,
no, that was Countermeasures, not Countermeasures 2.
I need
whatever
to,
the other name is.
I need to fucking start watching more of this guy's films because I also was tickled by that film and everything about it. So I don't know. Maybe he just makes good films that I enjoy, because I'm giving
Sure.
this a 3, and it might be too high.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'm bringing up the rear here. I'm pretty stunned by those ratings. I feel like you guys covered the movie pretty well and sort of discussed the numerous shortcomings and the very few and far between positives of this movie. So I don't need to add much to it, other than I was a little confused. Obviously, the jungle snake monster that was massive obviously required CGI, but the hybrids that they had on the submarine, although large, were not so large that they couldn't have used like a boa constrictor or anaconda or something, and it would have just looked infinitely better.
Yeah, they could have done a boa constrictor for most of it. And then
like it's not like they show other than the actual one like attack scene where it got electrocuted. They weren't really showing it in attack mode. It was more just slithering. So I mean, yeah, you could just
even when he electrocutes it, that was then practical effects, right? Wasn't it a puppet at that point, anyways?
It could have been.
So,
it definitely looked better than CGI at that point.
Yeah, or even use forced perspective or something. But the CGI was god awful.
I think the only scene that they probably would have felt like they had to was him with a periscope and having to dodge. You know?
Such a good scene.
It's necessary. So Brom, you're on the wrong side of this. It's a necessary scene to the narrative. So
I guess so. It just looked like augmented reality, like Pokemon Go or something, just kind of like slapping these snakes on these different scenes. It was really bad.
I can't even imagine being Luke Perry having to like film that.
Yeah.
Where it's just pretend like you're dodging away from the snake around the periscope. I'd be like, how
What do you think? They got somebody on the other end. The director's got like a big snake puppet, and he's like moving it back. He's like, dodge, 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 dodge.
He's holding Luke Perry's check in the other hand. Like, okay, you get it. If you dodge this, you get it.
You get the money.
Yeah.
We filmed. This is the last thing we're filming. Get it done.
Yeah. God, it was a mess.
That's a 12?
So,
is it 12 or what are you saying? 10 inches? Or what?
No, I think this goes in between. Obviously, it's not as bad as Stinger, but it also wasn't as. I love some of the elements and quotes from Moby Dick. There were some lines from it that actually made that redeemable.
Moby Dick, 2010. Sorry, you have to say it right. It's 2010 Moby Dick. It's
2010
not
Moby Dick.
Yeah.
I thought
2010 Moby Dick is awful. So no. I do not accept that.
I think it's an insult to put this anywhere near something like Steel Sharks, or even what was like the Jean-Claude Van Damme one and Dolph Lundgren one that we watched.
Blackwater?
I don't know.
Blackwater.
I kind of enjoyed this better than Blackwater, but
not me.
Was it Blackwater? Yeah,
not me.
I don't know.
I'm putting this in between Stinger and 2010 Moby Dick. I'm going to give this a 0.25.
If this had a lucky coin, this is at 3.5 or 4 for me.
Ooh,
so, sure. Yeah. I would have got on board with that. There's just not much I could point to, or I feel like this is one like 30 episodes from now we're gonna like forget just about everything from this one.
Except
right. Not me, man.
Yeah, I know. Episode 90.
I've had this one on my radar for a long, long time.
And I'm gonna say I actually dreaded that. I thought this was gonna be another Stinger, and I was wrong because it was not another Stinger.
Because it's watchable.
Well, no, and I have a soft spot for the 90s types films. This is very much like those Die Hard knockoffs. It just happened like 10 years too late. Somehow in 2009, they still made one, which seems crazy because even later, like Steven Seagal films are so bad compared to this because they start to get all, I don't know, they get all strange with like
Submerged.
Yeah, kind of just with like the narrative. He pushes all kinds of weird, like, own belief systems into it. It's so strange.
Mind control.
Exactly.
Movies,
something that I've experimented with.
Some of these really bad ones that we've been watching over the past few months really are making me appreciate The Rift.
Yeah, The Rift is actually, I don't know, I can't remember what I gave The Rift, but it was fun. I think I gave it something similar.
You gave it a 5.
Yeah, see, I thought that was a lot of fun. But the thing is I enjoyed countermeasures and stuff like that too. And those are, it's very similar to this one. Like I just have that aesthetic, the way it looks, the way they do it, how stupid the narrative is, how stupid the writing is, how bad the acting is. It just like, it appeals to me. It's just like such a knockoff of Die Hard and they just do everything half-assed and it kind of tickles me. So just one of my shortcomings, I guess.
Goodness.
Yeah. Should I get into some trivia?
Let's do it.
Go for it.
All right. So I'm going to be honest with the listeners. Like the trivia, I didn't make it up, but I just kind of like reached where I could to find something. So according to IMDb, the submarine first shown, so that was when it was docked, it was attack class 646 type submarine. I didn't even know what that was. And it's tied up at the dock. Then they showed a second submarine, and that was the one diving, and that was a boomer. So it was like the big one. But the exteriors, and I swear, this is not mentioned anywhere. I swear to God, that's the US Pompano because it's the same set. And you can tell from the sonar little like desk, that's the same set as down Periscope. So it's got to be the USS Pompano.
Dude, submit it.
I'm pretty sure online it did say it was a Belau. What the interior is a Belau. So, and that matches up with the Pompano. But I'm almost positive it's the same set. All right. The roars and hissing of the CGI snakes are the same sound effects from the Python series. So I know you all probably were thinking and being like, whoa, doesn't this sound familiar? Yeah, it's from Python, the Python series that everyone knows and loves.
Great.
And this is similar trivia to last week. Remember they had from 2010 Moby Dick, they talked about how like something was from War of the Worlds. And
yes,
I'm starting to suspect this isn't like Easter eggs that they're hiding. It's just they're being cheap. So they're just reusing stuff. But I may be wrong.
Could be.
All right. So when Tom Berenger is giving the mission to start the movie, when what's his name? God, Luke Perry is being given his mission. He's wearing aviator wings on his breast pocket instead of dolphins.
That doesn't make sense.
Does not make sense. And then later they change it to dolphins. So he's wearing dolphins later in the film, but in the beginning he's wearing aviator wings. So that's kind of ridiculous.
Goodness.
So, and then this was used as a plot hole, and I did actually agree with it. They said the deeper in the ocean you go, the colder it gets. So theoretically, they could have turned off the heat, gotten it so cold that the snakes slowed down, and they would have been able to survive because they're warm-blooded and the snakes are cold-blooded. And all the snakes would have stopped. And I did want to note that for whatever reason, the snake expert contended that this was not a good idea for some reason.
That did make no sense.
Yeah.
No, we can't slow him down, please.
Right.
Speed him up.
Just can't trust someone called a herpetologist.
Right, exactly. Herpetologist.
True.
So then this is listed as a remake of a film, actually. So it's called Fer de Lance. And it's a film about snakes getting loose on a submarine and the submarine sinking and then being trapped on the bottom of the ocean. So we could have watched this for Trapped.
That's a real movie?
1974 movie, I believe. Fer de Lance.
Add it to the list.
Fer de Lance.
No,
I think it's American still.
I've been re-listening to all the episodes, and
did I mention that one before?
No. Well, maybe, but point of the story is you've mentioned like 30 or 40 movies in these various trivia segments and fandom segments that we do not have on our list. So we have got plenty of material out there, Kyle.
Yeah, we'll get to 100. Don't worry about it. We'll get to syndication. So anyways, finally, Luke Perry is obviously most famous for, say it all together, 90210. Okay, 90210. So, which stars of other high school shows would have been good here? So what about Misha Barton from the OC?
Well, she's got a...
I don't know who that is.
Misha Barton from the OC and the new reboot of The Hills. She's on that one now.
Very cute.
So, and I know what you're going to say, Brom. She can't be Tokyo Rose.
I haven't done that joke in a long time.
I know. But I listen to episodes here and there as well, so.
I mean, if we have to pick someone other than our doctor...
She actually would be a good doctor, though.
Yeah.
I think she would be. And that's not even being sexist or anything. Like, I actually think she would be a good doctor.
Sure.
Character. And I'm not talking about the dumb doctor who doesn't know how to diagnose a snake bite.
Yeah, but there's nothing saying that the rogue doctor assistant here couldn't be a sister character or another woman. So
right,
we could plug her in there for Jake the Snake. Could be Jane the Snake.
Right. What about James Vanderbeek? From Dawson's Creek, obviously.
Jake the Snake, probably.
I think that's probably right. I think he's a good Jake the Snake there. What about Blake Lively from Gossip Girl?
Admiral Bradley Wallace.
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I'm imagining that right now. Hold on. Yeah, that's good. Okay. What about Drake from Degrassi High? So Drake, the rapper, obviously, was in a high school drama.
Yes.
One of the Pacific Island natives.
Hey.
That's not offensive. He's Canadian.
That's true. He is Canadian. But I will say he would have been a good, maybe XO.
You think so?
I think so.
I could see that.
Could he rap?
These are supposed to be like old, washed up guys, though, aren't they?
What, the XOs? No, those are the Cobs. Well, the Cobs.
I wouldn't say the captain.
I wouldn't say the XOs are upcoming. The Cobs are I wouldn't say they're washed up or anything. They're just like the veterans who didn't necessarily. They weren't necessarily in line to be like the leaders of the boat or whatever. They work better as like subordinates. What about Seth Rogen? He was in Freaks and Geeks.
Wait, there's a guy named Major Drake.
Oh, so there we go. He's Major Drake.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. Seth Rogen. Yeah. Now there is your Jake the Snake.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, actually, I can imagine that for sure. Yeah. What about Ed Harris? So it's a little known fact. He was actually a cast member of a high school show called Beachwood Beach. Terrible name, but so it was a high school drama he did early in his career. So he played a kid from the wrong side of the tracks, He's sent down to the South to finish high school and just to keep him out of trouble and stuff. And he loves to dance. And let me tell you, this town does not like dancing. And so one day he is caught dancing. Oh shit. And the police, they start chasing him. And he takes him on this long chase and eventually crashes his car into the local grease factory. And it goes up in flames. And so then the rest of the series, that was the pilot episode, all in the pilot episode.
Wow.
And the rest of the series, the rest of the series is him rebuilding by hand himself the grease factory. He's knee deep, shirtless, knee deep in grease. And it actually, they filmed 168 episodes in the first season alone. And then it went off the air. And it was just him rebuilding this grease factory.
There's no dialogue,
just him. Yeah.
Watching this man rebuild it.
Yep.
We built a grease factory.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think he'd be good here as well, rebuilding a grease factory?
I do.
I don't know where they fit that into the storyline. I guess he's one of the people on the island rebuilding a grease factory. Duh. And then there's a whole second storyline where he's battling the original mother snake.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it tries to swallow him, but he's so greasy, he just slips out.
He just slips all the way through the snake. He goes in one end of the snake, comes right
fire.
He gets right out the other side of the snake.
And the snake tries to constrict him and just whoop, pops right out.
Oh, that'd be great. He coils around him. Whoop.
What?
All right. So I'm going to finish up and
we didn't even cast him.
No, we didn't. Oh, no, we did. We cast him as a
Captain.
Second character.
Yeah,
it becomes a majority of the film. Now the film is 3 hours long, which is good for us, with 1.5 hours devoted to just Ed Harris's storyline.
So, but I hope it's just we see the entire movie like we saw, and then it says, Meanwhile,
yeah.
It just goes into this other thing. What's happening?
It's 24 hours earlier. You're like, what? So, Phantom Zone.
Engage the Phantom. Phantom's engaged, sir.
All right, so you think this would be hard? It never is anymore. It's one of those things.
Great.
So anyways, somehow this shares an actor with 2010 Moby Dick. So I was pretty happy with that, actually. Oliver Rayon, he played Sailor Wilson in this one. I think he was the one who may have been the one who opened the container and was the first one bit. I believe
dumbass.
And he played Bulkington in Moby Dick, 2010 Moby Dick. Sorry, I keep on saying it. 2010 Moby Dick. So we can just keep on going from last week's Phantom Zone. And I specifically said last week that I thought 2010 Moby Dick could become a hub in which we funnel terrible movies through. And this is the first of that. It's coming to fruition already because this bad film, also, although it's great, funneled immediately into 2010 Moby Dick and straight to Phantom. So,
dang.
Yeah.
It is easy for you. That's good, man.
It's no big deal.
That's real good. Alrighty. It's snakes. World.
Nice.
Wide.
Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, you got new stuff all the time. It's WTF month. You did whales last week.
Can I jump in real quick? Did you ever do a Han class, by the way?
I don't think so, but that would have been low hanging fruit, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
it would have been. So I was looking at some of the most venomous snakes in the world,
and you didn't did you not do a pit viper for this one?
No, I did not.
Even though the snakes in this were pit vipers.
Correct. I did not. I wanted something more dangerous.
Those are second lowest hanging fruit. You even reached higher.
I did.
Okay.
I did. To what may be considered some of our favorite drinks.
Scorpion
King
Bowl.
Cobra.
Oh, King Cobra. Okay.
Yikes.
So, King Cobra is considered the third most venomous snake in the world. I originally was going to do...
Can I guess one?
Top 3, but I didn't want to, have this go on for super long. So I thought,
can I guess number 1 though?
Yeah.
Daddy Longlegs.
Nailed it.
Perfect.
Technically, a snake, the daddy longlegs, is the most venomous snake on Earth. That's a fact. So I got this information from Britannica. How exciting.
Oh, wow.
So.
Popped in that CD-ROM? You went to town?
Yeah.
I do know which one's the most venomous.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I won't spoil it.
Oh, okay. So everybody should be familiar with the King Cobra. If you're not, it is the one with the hood behind its head. While many cobras have this is actually not a member of the cobra family, as weird as that is. It is its own. Kind of fun. So they live in India and Southeast Asia, and they range. How big do you think they get? You guys know?
15 feet.
Which one is this?
King Cobra.
The King Cobra. Yeah, 15 feet sounds like a good guess.
So that'd be considered big. It's 10.4 to 13.1 is normal for an adult. The longest they have on record is 19.2.
Easy breezy, 15 right in there.
Yeah, so they usually weigh also around 13 pounds, but they did capture one in the wild that was 26 pounds. Wow. So twice the weight.
It's almost as much as I weigh.
Exactly. They have an average lifespan of 20 years. Their diet consists of other snakes, rodents, and lizards. So they mainly, like, their name actually is derived, their scientific name is derived from the word snake eater in a, I can't remember if it's Greek or whatnot, but in an older language. They'll mainly eat things
Latin,
like,
right?
Probably is. They'll hunt pit vipers. So there you go. And they'll also hunt things like pythons, which I thought was pretty crazy. I mean, pythons are huge. It
just nibbles on it for a little bit and leaves it.
Like, nom, 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 nom. Sticks up with its hood. Nom, 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 nom. So after eating, it can actually go for months until it needs to eat again, which is wild.
Well, when you eat a python.
It's true.
Usually when I eat a python, I usually don't eat for a month afterwards.
Dang. Well, yeah, you gotta give yourself some time.
Yeah.
So when laying eggs, the female will drop between 12 to 51 eggs and incubate them for 51 to 79 days. Now, you may be asking yourself, what if we get bit, right? What would happen? Because they're so venomous. The toxins will result, this is from Wikipedia, the toxins will result in severe pain, blurred vision, vertigo, drowsiness, and eventually paralysis. This will lead to a cardiovascular collapse, and the victim can fall into a coma. If you do get bit, you need to seek immediate medical attention because it can be fatal in as short as 30 minutes. So there were no king cobras on this boat because people were dropping super fast. And no surprise, this didn't shock me at all. They say the people who get bit the most often are snake charmers. No shit. It is technically the national reptile of India, and they are a threatened species, and so they are protected due to their conservation status. If you do kill one, you can be put into prison for up to 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
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 Oh.
Wow.
That's it, man. That's Snakes Worldwide.
I thought you were counting down a few snakes or something.
Well,
can you tell us what the most venomous one is?
The most venom. The king cobra is one of the most deadly because it has, although its venom is not the most potent, it applies a ton of it in one go. It just delivers a ton of it.
Can I ask you
a small amount of venom? Yes, that's true. The most venomous snake in the world is it's like an inland taipan.
Yes,
Australian.
also called the fierce snake.
That's a terrible name. I like the inland taipan actually better.
I know, fierce snakes just sounds a little weird.
Oh yeah. Brom, do you know so many facts about snakes because you are in fact a snake?
I am not, in fact, a snake. I did some research for my countdown, which we're going to be doing here momentarily. And I also have a huge snake, a huge snake fetish. Yeah. Right. I have a huge reptile enthusiast friend in my circle of friends who he's kind of
that's what they call it now.
What's that?
A reptile enthusiast.
A reptile enthusiast.
Somebody has herpes, call him a reptile enthusiast?
Yes.
Right.
He actually goes to schools and stuff and actually will bring his animals with him and show the students and all that. I was actually thinking if I had more time, I was thinking about maybe getting him on the podcast to talk about snakes and do my countdown for me, but he would,
well, we can always bring him
someday.
on later, and we can talk about even more venomous snakes.
Even more.
When we do Fer de Lance, right? This other snake one?
Oh, yes.
There we go. We'll plan it for that.
Let's book it. We'll do it.
Yeah.
All righty.
All right.
I'm ready.
Brom, you ready?
I'm ready. Tube 3 ready to fire, sir.
Commence the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give it to me.
So, my friend that I was just mentioning, he would have, I think, also pointed out that some of the snakes we saw tonight are domesticated and safe. I think there were a few that even looked like corn snakes and stuff like that would have been harmless to people. There were some references here, though, that these were very lethal pit vipers and things like that, and they were silent killers. This is silent venom. But they're joined by many other poisonous and venomous animals in the animal kingdom. So tonight's countdown, I'm counting down 5 of the most poisonous / venomous non-snakes in the animal kingdom, just to enlighten everyone.
We go!
And maybe we can sort of plug and play a little bit here, and you guys can tell me if any of these creatures would have made for a good hijinks on the submarine tonight. So number 5, what if it was silent venom pufferfish?
Ooh. I mean, it's definitely applicable because it's the ocean, so there could be pufferfish around.
Mm-hmm.
This pufferfish, this delicacy of the deep, is often served in Japan by the name fugu. Only licensed chefs are permitted to serve the pufferfish, as on average, 30 adventurous foodies are poisoned each year. 6 restaurant goers died between 1996 and 2006.
Wow. Yeah, so I think for it to be truly applicable to this film, there would have had to been maybe we have it be like an advanced submarine, some sort of like futuristic submarine where they have a sushi bar on the craft.
Oh, that'd be real good. And they've got a really inexperienced chef. Maybe it's his first day outside of culinary school.
And it's quite the adventure, this culinary adventure.
Yes. That could be it. That could be the whole movie, actually. That's the whole shtick, is it's a submarine restaurant.
Right. It's a culinary adventure. That'd be the tagline. Get ready for a culinary adventure.
You guys did see the tagline for Silent Venom, right?
I did, but remind me.
Let's see, where was it at? Here it was. Death doesn't creep, it slithers.
At least that's makes
not the worst
sense.
Yeah. I was hoping it'd be much worse than that.
Yeah. Better than like Steel Sharks. What is that? 200 feet down, no one can hear you scream.
That was pretty good. I like that one.
Okay.
We remembered
that movie. It makes no
sense. Right.
It's bad.
We remembered it though.
That's true.
That's true.
Number 4, though, the poison dart frog, the most poisonous animal on Earth. In fact, poison dart frogs received their name from their history of being utilized by American Indians to lace their blow darts with their deadly toxin. An amount of poison on the head of a pin is enough to kill a human.
Wow.
I do kind of like that as an option, be it where it's covered in frogs, because I don't think that's used enough.
Everywhere.
Yeah. It's not used enough in film as like the dangerous creature is poisonous
They
frogs.
just don't look scary, though. They're actually kind of adorable.
It's true. Yeah.
That's the thing. And everybody's like, oh, look at this cute. Oh, my God.
Right.
Dead. And I'm dead.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about, man. That'd be good.
They'll get you.
Make it happen.
They'll get you. Number 3, Jamie, you're going to love this one.
I hope
You're going to
so.
love it. The Brazilian wandering spider.
Oh.
Also known as the banana spider, the Brazilian wandering spider is responsible for more human deaths than any other spider. A fraction of 1/1,000,000th of an ounce of its venom is enough to kill a mouse. Its bite also causes uncomfortable erections that last for hours and often end in impotence.
This would be
Wild.
perfect for a submarine film.
Just everybody's walking around.
Well, no, because then
Did
it's
you
just,
get bit too? Obviously.
I think
Can't you tell?
the real problem would be that there would be like a mutiny afoot, right? Because everyone's got those erections going, and the captain's like, "What the fuck, guys?
Yeah,
Everybody's
trying to usurp my authority."
Everybody's dick is just raging war on their inseam.
Exactly. No, Captain, I'm
and there'd
sorry.
be all sorts of, because it's all such tight quarters, there'd be all sorts of awkward scenes of people trying to get past each other on the sub.
Now that is
Damn
a
it.
movie I could see us making.
That'd be good.
We'd
Yeah.
have fun with that one.
That actually is not a bad idea. I'm going to write that down. Where our submarine film is actually that there's spiders on board, and it's the spider that gives you uncomfortable erections.
I kind of love the name too, the Brazilian wandering spider.
Yeah.
It just kind of
It's-
wanders
it makes
about.
you think.
Yeah, but also the AKA banana spider kind of has double entendre there.
Yeah. I still
Oh,
think
yeah.
we'd still have to somehow incorporate time travel into this movie, but otherwise,
It
I
can
think
be
we've got
done.
it. Yeah, we've got most
can
of it.
easily be done.
Yeah.
Number 2, the blue-ringed octopus. These golf ball-sized octopi carry enough poison to kill over 24 adult humans in minutes, with no known
And they're
antidote.
the size
They're the
of
size of a golf ball. Yeah, and with
So we
no
need
known
some-
antidote, wade carefully into the tide pools of Asia and Australia.
We need some radioactive material to balloon these octopi up to ginormous sizes. Or we could go really far down to some rift or something, and they could just be big there.
Yeah. Again, they're kind of adorable.
Exactly.
a blue ringed octopus.
Yep, they're kind of cute.
Mm.
Silent and cute, but deadly.
Is that the film we're making? Where it's
That
dart frogs
that's the
and
tagline at the
octopi?
very least.
Oh, they do look very cool.
And pugs. The 6. I think those are the 6 most venomous creatures on Earth are actually
Was the
pugs. Yep.
Maybe,
Maybe, but it can't bite you
uh,
because its face is so flat.
Right. Exactly. And that's part of it's the face is flat because of the venom. Really. All the venom it has.
Yeah, the black muzzle is from the necrosis. Its face is rotted out from all the venom.
Makes sense.
Number 1, the box jelly.
Oh yeah.
The box jelly has caused nearly 6,000 deaths since 1950. Its venom is so overwhelmingly painful that human victims most frequently die immediately of shock. Pro tip, wear pantyhose if you are swimming in the oceans of Asia and Australia.
What? So
Is that what-
you just
that's
go into
real?
shock
That's
and then
real.
you drown?
Yep.
Has anyone survived?
There have been survivors. Typically, it involves a friend dredging them out of the water to the shore, and if vinegar is on hand nearby, I don't know if there's
Or
like
urine.
I don't think the urine thing works, but
Agree to
double
disagree.
check that. Vinegar 100% though, because it has acetic acid, which will neutralize the neurotoxins or whatever they're called that the box jellyfish's sting is kind of applying, so you can neutralize a lot of them before they enter into the bloodstream. And again, pantyhose though will kind of stop it outright if you were to brush up against one. So there you
Not
go.
sure.
Are
See, it's funny. All
whatever
these,
gets you just isn't like long enough to penetrate it or something?
I guess so.
Huh.
Yeah, it's funny because all these other animals I've thought in my mind and figured out how we might incorporate into a submarine film. I'm not sure about the box jellyfish.
I don't
pretty
know,
scary,
unless you
though.
did a 20,000 League situation where you send
that's a good
somebody
call.
out of the sub.
Yeah, there we go. We're sending someone out of the submarine. Actually,
Like that movie with the Sphere, right?
Yeah,
with Samuel L. Jackson and Dustin Hoffman.
They should do that more often in submarine films. Almost like spacewalking. Like they need to get people outside those submarines more often.
Water walking.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't do that
Maybe
enough.
there's a futuristic one where there's actually water inside the sub to regulate pressure, and it's something that you can like breathe. It's like a abyss situation.
Right, like a polyfluorine or whatever.
Yeah, and you're able to navigate through the sub, and they use that to sort of allow you to dive deeper or some shit.
It could work. It could work.
And the jellies get in somehow through a torpedo tube or something.
And they've been mutated to be able to breathe the liquid as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And they can walk.
Right. And they're shaped like a human. And I'll say they look like a human.
Yes.
But they're box
really,
jellyfish.
they're jellyfish.
And they can perform in a big band and play
yeah.
and play sweet music.
Mm-hmm. You're like, that drummer has like 10 arms.
And we call it Fish. That's the band's name, Fish.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And, I guess that's a misnomer I read. They call it the box jelly now, no longer the box jellyfish, because they have determined that it is definitely not a fish.
Never mind. So it's not called It's not called Fish. It's called Jamie and the Jellies.
Okay. Might need to work on that
But
one. That
Jelly
one's-
Jam.
What?
Jelly,
That one's great.
Jelly Jam's pretty good.
Jelly Jam is good, actually. I take my name back. Jelly Jam it is.
Alrighty.
All right.
All right.
Okay, we're finishing
Getting
up with
to the
this.
last segment here.
It's a big one.
And now it's time for a letter from listeners like you.
It's too bad Zach wasn't on this
It's been
one.
a long time since we've heard that.
Yeah, it's too bad
But,
Zach wasn't on because he could have heard that one for the first time.
Yeah, that's true.
Man.
He would have been losing it. So we did receive an email. Thank you very much from our listener. This comes from Adam, and he says, "You keep asking your listeners to email you, so I did.
Good.
Thank you very much."
That's it.
And he's
All right.
Yeah,
What?
cool.
Oh.
That's all we needed. It was a personal email. We're not going to say anything about it.
No, nothing about it.
So he had mentioned a movie that we already have watched and we've talked about, and he specifically mentions the soundtrack. And he says, "Can you get the soundtrack to The Chamber?"
Oh,
Which
Chris
is-
O'Donnell. Good movie.
It is a good movie, yeah. Chris O'Donnell, what's his name, and the other guy.
Gene Hackman.
Bo Jackson is in it too, yeah. Yeah, Gene Hackman.
There you go.
Bo Jackson.
And so he also goes on to mention that he loves James Dean Bradfield and the Manic Street Preachers, in a platonic sense, of course.
Right.
So I think with this, you can get this soundtrack. We will post a link to it. It is on Spotify, and it's quite good. I've been listening to it while I've been working because with this movie, I feel like it was overshadowed by the acting. That main character, Matt, you remember him?
Mm-hmm. And we
Sure,
were
yeah.
we were teasing, by the way. This is a movie Chamber from what was it, like 2010?
Yeah.
No,
It was
it's
later.
much more
It was-
recent.
Yeah, it was like a 2018 film or
2017, 2016.
yeah, something like that.
Yes, where they're trapped on the bottom of the ocean floor.
In North
Yes.
Korean waters.
Yes. So what kind of music did you say this was?
This is the Chamber, and it's got a lot of the really cool, like, brooding soundtrack. Here's a clip from my favorite track on it, and this one's called Red Struggle. And so that's just an example of the soundtrack. And it's got a lot of these big epic swells and building like that. And I think that for us, and at least for me, I can say personally, the acting probably drown out the soundtrack, which I really wish it didn't because the soundtrack is good. And there was an interview with James Dean Bradfield on BBC, and he talked about how he always had wanted to do a soundtrack, and he knew he eventually was going to do one. And he said it was just time. He just really needed to make this. The director got in contact with him and said he knows that music can make or break a film. And he said, this is my guy. I really want him to do it. And he said it was a great time. He had a really fun time making the soundtrack. But
got that ambient electronica sort of intense vibe. As you said, it kind of swells and pounds.
Yeah,
got the
kind of
heavy
like
bass.
our opening theme song.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe Kyle's the next guy that'll be.
Well, you're going to do the soundtrack for our submarine film, right?
Well, most definitely he will.
Yeah. I've got to. So yes, Adam, thank you very much for
if Zach was here.
in.
If Zach was here, he would have just put in the X-Files techno song right there.
That's true.
He'd be like, here it is. So we appreciate the email, and if anyone else ever wants to go ahead and send us a message, Mackey's Second Floor Studios at Gmail. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anywhere. We'll answer a question from anywhere. Doesn't matter. Send it on in.
It's the truth.
Kevin
sure
the dog.
Is.
Oh, Kevin the dog sucks.
Kevin is the worst.
What a little piece of shit.
We are toying with the idea of a segment for Kevin the dog.
Is that where we just roast Kevin the dog all day?
No, it is not.
See, secretly,
Kyle's kind of keeping it close to the vest, but I was kind of thinking. My guess is he's thinking it's going to be like, let's talk about sex.
Let's talk about Kevin. Yeah.
Let's talk about Kevin. Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking as well.
Thanks for listening to Submersion. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Don't forget to subscribe for new episodes every Thursday. If you like what you heard, please leave us a rating on iTunes.